Hello, and welcome to the Home and Finance Show, and thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Janis Bradley, broker-owner of JB Real Estate Consultants, and joining me is my co-host.
I'm Diana Rice-Wilkerson, lender with Fairway Independent Mortgage.
We are your seasoned, trusted advisors committed to personally navigating you through the home buying and home lending process. This show is designed to provide you with current and relevant information about different aspects of home buying, home selling, and lending, so that you are knowledgeable when making decisions for you and your family. You can also hear us on Saturdays on Radio 1, 1310 AM, 92.7, and 95.1, and that's at 1 o'clock. That said, if you are in the market to buy, build, or refinance, we'd love to represent you. You may reach us at the contact information below. Now on with the show. I've always said, Diana, that rhymes, okay? Just in case you didn't know.
Just in case I didn't know.
And what's going on?
Hey.
We should do like they do on that other show. The men, they go like this to each other, so.
They do the bumps.
Yeah, they do the bumps, okay.
So
we're gonna do that, yeah. What you got good today?
We have Myra Lilliard joining us today. Welcome, Myra.
Welcome, Myra.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
I call Myra the bomb diggity real estate appraiser because the lady has the highest credentials you can have in this industry when it comes to real estate appraising. So that's residential, commercial, and everything else in between. And she also is awesome. She also does appraisals for lenders. So she does the FHA, conventional, and VA appraisal reports. We're going to kind of talk about those today. And she's a busy lady, so we're just happy that you are here, Myra.
I'm happy to be here.
We're talking about the credentials. Kind of share with us, we all belong to an organization called NARAB, National Association of Realtors, and you have a designation with that particular entity, right?
Yes, part of the NARAB, National Association of Real Estate Brokers, they have many affiliates, and the affiliate that I belong to is the National Society of Real Estate Appraisers, and I do hold a CRA designation, and that is a commercial designation. So I'm just so happy that our community is growing and that we are alive and well in the Indianapolis area.
And Myra is one of those individuals that goes the extra miles. Mm-hmm. So what we want her to do is also talk to us about her other endeavor that she started, I think, in the last couple of years, I want to say, NID?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Well, we have so many challenges in our community, and so we wanted to make sure that our people were really aware of the opportunities that we do have to promote home ownership, get the help where needed, whether it's to maintain your home, avoiding foreclosure. All of those topics are housed under the NID, which is a housing counseling agency that we have actually been a part of for the 2 years, and we do have monthly classes that we give, workshops for pre-purchase, and then also we help with loan modifications, et cetera, et cetera. So anything pertaining to literacy with our finances, from budget to credit, and then all the nuances that these ladies speak of in terms of the financing and the sales aspect, we try and bring and house into those monthly classes. So thank you so much for letting me do that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing. Tell us about appraising.
Wow.
Tell us about appraising. And I know we have a short period of time, but kind of dwell of what's changed in the last, I don't know what years you're going to be able to share with us better than anybody else.
Wow. Well,
I didn't expect
the tapestry.
That question either.
It just kind of rolled out. I think she's running for cover, Myra.
Yeah, the industry's changed so much, and the tapestry, our economy has changed. And back in the day, I want to say 25, 30 years ago, the stability in our marketplace, you could actually look at a home's value, say in January, and in June, you're pretty much at that same target. So it was very stable. And Fannie Mae guidelines were such that you could even do the appraisal picture of value even going back to 12 months. But as we've seen now, especially in these last 2 years, and most recently, the dynamics in the marketplace has just changed so rapidly. So we have seen values just, I mean, we so much so that we have to get snapshots for a 1 month picture, a 2 month picture, and maybe a 3 month picture. It's just that dynamic.
And Myra, along those same lines, talk about the benefit to the owners that are experiencing this appreciation and growth.
Oh, absolutely. So if, you know, and I think that's, you know, how it is when you haven't bought a car in a while and you go and you see it's sticker shock.
Yeah.
Well, if you're a homeowner and you've been in that home for so long, a lot of homeowners have no idea of the increase in value. And that increase in value, basically from what they paid for to what the value is now, that's that equity piece. And so if they've been in their homes, of course, homes aren't the liquid asset like other assets. But if you've been in your home for a reason, well, actually, even now, a short period of time, quite honestly, you most likely have seen quite a bit of an appreciation. Again, years ago, if you even bought new construction, they would tell you up front, you've got to look to at least holding on to your home for 3 to 5 years before you would see any equity at all. And that is not the case. You know, we have been in a situation where, you know, a new purchase of new home construction is actually getting appreciation in that, you know, 12 to 24 month.
Okay.
And that has been a rarity in the past.
And thank you for that. And along with those lines, and because of that very thing, we know that our seniors oftentimes are the part of our population that gets preyed on a lot when it comes to scams and things of that nature. And yet many of our seniors are also the ones that own their properties. They may own them outright, they may have no loan on them at all, or maybe they owe very, very little. And I think the third thing I want to say is we also know that many of us get weekly those little cards. We're getting texts as well. I'm sure you ladies are getting texts.
Emails.
We're getting the cards, we're getting the texts, and we're getting the phone calls and the emails about buying your property. So you guys, that's a clue. That's a clue. If everybody's after something, there's a reason.
There's a reason.
So because of real estate and the equity and that wealth bucket that's grown so rapidly, kind of share with us your thoughts about and your caution to those about those little cards and phone calls and texts they're getting.
Oh yeah,
Please.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you asked that question, and it has just been just a plethora of them for the last 2 to 3 years in particular, namely with the housing stock being so low relative to those that are ready to buy. So you're looking at areas in particular where there has been a suppressed value. And so the rapid level of appreciation is such that investors are just going wholesale in terms of getting that information out, and because they want to buy. There's a need there. They see that value proposition is such that they could put X amount of dollars in and get a nice fat return. But one of the things with the seniors, and I'm so glad that you mentioned that, Diana, because our seniors aren't as savvy as those of us are in the marketplace on a normal basis. And a lot of them still have landlines, so they don't even have the cell phones. And typically, if they're getting something in the mail, our seniors often think that it's legit and that it's okay. And so I just would caution our seniors to really work with a trusted advisor. They have a real estate professional, such as yourself, Janis, and Diana, just to really reach out, because everything that glitters is not gold.
Right.
And yes, we know that the values have increased. But if you don't if you don't have a mortgage on your property, say you pay $20,000 for it, and someone on the postcard says, you know what, I'm willing to pay you $80,000. And they would say, oh,
that's
my word, I haven't seen $60,000, and they get real excited about that. Unbeknownst to them, the property may be worth $175,000. And so it just pays to have another pair of eyes, someone that is looking out for their best interests. So I'm hoping that they would take advantage of utilizing a trusted advisor.
So while we're talking about that, and we like that you hit on that, talk about areas also that some of the senior citizens, they've had forever, like it would be land or just anything that is really of a lot of value, but they may not realize it. So kind of talk about that too, so that when I know before you said, hold on. So kind of talk about that a little bit.
Especially for properties in the central city and the
absolutely.
land, those homes.
Yeah, be particular, like Diana is saying, that especially what areas, so they'll know.
Yeah, so if we look at all the trends that are happening, the 5-year plan, the 10-year plan for the city, and in particular the central business district, so it kind of mushrooms out. And as we can see, the development that has taken place with that, they're older neighborhoods. They're within 3 to 5 miles of the central business district, has been a real hot haven, and it's just unbelievable the amount of wealth that has been captured in that area. And it grieves me a little bit as a professional, because I see that we've some have just sold because of just being very excited about a proposition, and left so much money on the table. Again, I cannot stress enough to work with a trusted advisor, to get a realtist involved in that, from a lending aspect to a sales aspect, because that way they can determine with no money at all, just goodwill, being a good neighbor, saying, hey, we can just do a market. You do market analysis, don't you? Yeah. And that way you can actually see whether it's in the running as to what's being offered. But there's a lot of money, not only for improved properties, but also for unimproved. Vacant land has just, oh my goodness, it has skyrocketed. There have been appraisals I've done, and I've actually had to go back twice in 1 year, that much growth on vacant land. So, so not to ignore that. There's just, oh my goodness, there's just value in the land. And reminds me with Gone with the Wind. It's in the land, it's in the land. It's true though.
I love it. Kind of share with us, especially in the last 2 years, the bidding war situation, which means, ladies and gentlemen, that just basically means where a property has maybe multiple offers, and the buyer will offer over. And that's what's happening. And so we would call that multiple offers.
2022, nightmare.
Yeah, I had to grow up. And, I've been in the business for a while, but I had to grow up and just, hang in there. So kind of share, and I'm so glad you mentioned the fact that in the, quote, older days, that you could go back 12 months and 6 months. So share with us, with this market, when you have the multiple offers, how exactly that works for the appraisal.
Well, for the appraisal aspect, it really does help to know what level of activity has taken place in the home. And especially when we're talking prices that have gone beyond what is typically seen in the neighborhood, in the market, it really helps an appraiser to be able to establish or possibly support what's happening in the marketplace. And so when you see multiple offers, at the beginning of that, homes weren't meeting those values.
Okay.
And that lasted, I would say, perhaps a good 6 to 8 months.
Okay.
Yes.
And after that, the market kind of caught up. From an appraisal standpoint, we look at historical data, but as we have seen multiple offers, and actually they haven't stopped. I mean, it slowed down a little bit.
It did.
But now we're not seeing people or having to put in offers so many more dollars over the ask over the the asking price. So it's the market has absorbed that. And so that lets us know that from an appraisal standpoint, we're not only looking at historical data, but we look at activity. So we kind of forecast as well, looking at the active market along with contract market, those that are actually pending. And so at that point, when we're trying to reconcile the value in the report, we tend to look more at the end of the range in value, the upper end, because we see that the market is actually supporting that.
Yes, in the fall of last year and toward the end, I know when I was writing offers, I did have a little bit more grace with my buyers as far as maybe the seller paying some of the closing costs. We were even having problems, as everybody knows, with government financing. You know, the FHA or VA, the sellers are saying, no, I can take this cash, or I can take this conventional. You know, everybody thinks conventional is, you know, a God loan. So anyway, but that's what, I did have some grace. Like I said, it just made you feel good. But man, and this went over. It started over even the first of the year. But this is, of course, May. But I started seeing that change again, you know, where even off of 100, this house was listed for 125. Now, that's hard to find. It was also hard to find the comparables. But because when I checked the comparables, which were kind of last year or 6 months or so, but these homes are rehabbed, and they were selling for 160, 165, and in this neighborhood. Now, when I sold those homes, you know, they were probably 100,000 or 80,000, but that's neither here nor there. This particular property that I was working with pretty much needed everything. I mean, it was just. It was okay. But you know you were going to have to replace the carpet, things of this nature. And again, it started off at 125. So after I saw the comps, but I said, okay, because what a lot of realtors are doing, they're putting the price kind of low because they know it's going to bump it up.
Right.
And I knew this was going to happen. So I had my customer, I think we went up $15,000, and this has just happened in the last 3 weeks in a neighborhood that you would not believe. But we went up $15,000, and even the realtor came back to me. She says, I never would have thought that we would have gotten that many offers even over the 145. And it wasn't a cash deal either. So it's just relatively a new day.
And that really pays with someone like yourself doing the homework ahead of time. And a lot of times people are going in making offers and they don't have a professional real estate broker to actually do that work ahead of time, and they miss out on deals. You know, whether it can be supported or not. You know,
Myra, I don't think I ever thought about this before, or even asked you this question. How does as-is properties play in appraising?
Well, I mean, an as-is.
I'm sorry.
Just as, you know, if we're talking, you mentioned FHA, VA, and conventional. As-is doesn't necessarily mean that it's not or could be market ready. It may mean that aesthetically there are things that are needed. Okay, in terms of desirability, it could be a paint job, it could be new flooring.
Right.
Those aesthetic things that really don't impact greatly the value.
Okay.
And but of course there are ratings within the appraisal report. So if it's as is, it may be, I hate to talk this jargon, but a C4 versus a home that is market ready, that would be a C3 or a C2. One that you said that needed everything, and they've gone ahead and done all the updates. So that's the only difference, you know, that an as-is property would impact. It would be in that range.
Not necessarily a huge dollar amount, but just some. It has an impact.
Right, if
but
it's
not-
just aesthetic.
Yeah.
When people say as is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it doesn't all, it conjures up the idea that, you know, the plumbing's busted or this or
It
that or
just
the other
does,
thing.
doesn't it? You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
but
You're
as
right.
is, a lot of times it's just that they could be, you know, seniors that have just had a wonderful family life and they're ready to move on, and why not pass the benefit of that on to someone that has new ideas? And instead of putting all that money into what they think someone else might want, that as is home says, hey, now you're ready to make it your dream home.
Yeah.
And then that's money that makes it a win-win for everyone.
And oftentimes, if you're in that situation and you are buying a home and you want to make it your dream home, and you don't have the money to do that, we do have the renovation products.
Good point.
Because with
where is she going with this? Okay.
And because the renovation products, we can just roll in the money into your loan that is needed for renovation, and you do it your way. You work with your contractor. The contractor is very, very important, but those renovation products are out there, and I might add that Fairway is excellent doing those.
And the key is also they have an appraiser to make sure that that value is there, correct?
We have an appraiser to make sure the value's there, and they have, in some cases, we're dealing with a HUD consultant to make sure. So bottom line, you can't over-improve it. So you've got protection built into the process. So if you're like me and you had a dream that you wanted this particular kitchen with these particular cabinets and all of that good stuff, well, dollars do make sense. Dollars do make, anyway, we're there to make sure that it's going to appraise and work out for you.
Okay, so, you know, I really make my customers sign in the blood that they will not watch any HGTV while they're working with me. Okay, so, but there are a couple of shows that I do watch. So I just thought of something. We always ask you, is it a good idea to have an appraisal before you put your house on the market? But in this case, I think I want to know, have you ever had situations where someone will ask you to come in because they're thinking about putting the house on the market, but they want top dollar, and so there's certain renovations they might want to make, and do you do that and help people with that?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Especially if they say they got a little bit of money. Right, right.
Well, you know, because everyone has a wish list, and again, we know that cost doesn't necessarily equate to value, and so oftentimes a person may have the idea of wanting to really spruce up that home, and we come in as appraisers and we do what's called an as-is appraisal, and then we do as improved. So oftentimes we'll have a scope of work. It doesn't have to be long and drawn out because we can take that. We have cost books, analysis, and things like that that we do.
Okay.
And then it shows the impact. It's like, okay, if I sell it this way, as is, versus improvement, so this amount of money that I'm putting in, they may put in $35,000 to improve it, and it may actually be a gain of 50.
Or 50, yeah, or so.
So, you know, and it just depends on what those improvements are. But yeah, that is where having an appraiser come in before a renovation project is started to know up front what that as-is value is and the impact of that after all those things are done. And
that is a smart money tip for sure.
It is.
That is
It
a smart.
is.
And this is why we
I've
love.
never asked that question before.
Well, good. I think you need to ask it again in the future. But this is where, too, the appraiser comes in, I promise you, because Myra is also, you know, we've been around a long time, and Myra was one of the ones who explained to me, if you're in a neighborhood or a community where, you know, maybe there's the plan for revitalization, but it's not kicked in yet, and maybe you're going to be the first house, you know, maybe renovating or building a new house or however that works. She can actually comp that property to a similar property that might be a distance away from the subject property.
Absolutely.
As long as you can
Yes.
justify it. Now,
Yes.
think I don't believe it. Now, all appraisers may do this. I don't believe it.
Well, when you're that kind of a professional.
When you're that kind of a professional who really
Back it up. She can back
understands
it
the
up.
community, and you almost
Exactly.
have to know what's going on in the community to find these pockets, and also be willing maybe to reach out to the community development organization for some data and that sort of thing. But I'm only putting that out there because as we're educating the community and sharing that when you're doing comps, you're looking for comparable properties. They need to be within a certain distance, within a certain date.